Welcome to the RD2BE podcast. Each week we sit down with a different registered dietitian nutritionist to showcase the diversity of opportunity in the dietetics profession. Our aim is to dismantle the notion that there is a traditional career path. I'm Carl Barnes, the registered dietitian behind the scenes of RD2BE.
And I am Jenna Warnock, the RD2BE host. Our RD guests share their stories, career paths, and advice to help students like us succeed in the profession. Welcome back to another week of the RD2BE podcast. I'm your host, Jenna Warnock, and today we are showcasing another dietetic internship. So today we're sitting down with Verzhine Owens. She's the VA Dietetic Internship Director in Bronx, New York with the James J. Peters Medical Center Dietetic Internship. And she's going to be very unique in this aspect where she's going to present some information and then we're going to follow up with some questions. So thank you so much for taking the time tonight, Verzhine.
Thank you, Jenna, and thank you to RD2BE for hosting us today. I'm really excited to get to talk about the James J. Peters VA Dietetic Internship Program. We're in one of the boroughs of New York City in the Bronx, and it's a really wonderful internship program. So our program was originally established in 1946 and then restructured in 1982. So we actually graduated our 40th class of dietetic interns this year. Really exciting. Our program is in a concentration of medical nutrition therapy, and we're a 16-month MSDI program with 49 weeks of supervised practice. Our program partners with NYU, New York University, for a master's in clinical nutrition. Our program starts in August of 2023 for the next class. Working with veterans, it's a really exciting opportunity. We in the Bronx are one of the most diverse VAs in the country, so you really get a very rich experience. Given the fact that it's a veterans hospital, most of our patients are male, so you would see less than 10% female population, though that population is certainly growing. Our patients tend to be, I'd say, 50 plus in age, so you're definitely dealing with an older clientele. And many of our patients have complex medical histories. Many have multiple comorbid conditions, diabetes, hypertension, CHF. Many have physical limitations and also some mental health concerns that we're working through. So you're really learning with patients and growing with patients as you care for them in our internship. So our current program overview, and this is looking for the spring 2023 match. We select 7 interns each year for our program. And as I mentioned, we're a 49-week supervised practice program with over 1,400 hours of supervised practice. Many of your rotations, all except 3 of them, are housed at the Bronx VA. So you're not shuffling around trying to find different preceptors or different sites to rotate at. That's all structured by our program, and you're centrally located at the Bronx hospital. We participate only in the spring match, so the February 15th deadline that's upon us, that's our next match date. For our candidates who are MSDI, we work in the 34 credit clinical nutrition masters, and during your internship year, you take 19 credits of coursework during the supervised practice year, and then in just 1 additional full-time semester, you're able to complete the entire program. So it's about a 16-month program. And you have to apply, for those that are coming into the MSDI, you have to apply separately to NYU's master's program. So that's an important item because the deadline is February 1st. So the one new program change is for applicants who are holding a master's in clinical nutrition or similar, they may be exempt from the MS at NYU. And that's through a case-by-case discussion. So just to highlight some of the changes, for our MSDI program, candidates who have a DPD verification statement and they need to complete a graduate degree, they must apply to NYU for their master's in clinical nutrition by February 1st. And so they'll do the supervised practice portion of the internship and take 19 credits during those 49 weeks. And then they'll need 1 additional full-time semester of coursework at NYU. And when the degree is conferred through NYU, I'm able to issue their DI verification statement, which allows graduates of our program to sit for the RD exam. We're also, for this year, for the first time, we're really excited to offer the opportunity to take candidates who have already completed their master's in clinical nutrition or a similar area, if they have a DPD verification statement and their master's is completed by the time that our internship starts. We are looking to have a master's of science, and certain areas, it could be a master's in human nutrition, it could be a master's in nutrition and food and dietetics, but we're definitely looking for clinical based programs. We don't take any exemptions for anybody that might be completing a master's remotely while doing our program. Those candidates would have to be applying to NYU. And then the interns, once they're done with their supervised practice, they're able to receive their DI verification statement and sit for the exam shortly thereafter. So for those who are visual learners or follow things visually, this just helps you kind of get a sense. Applicants, if you're applying straight from undergrad, you've done a post-bac DPD, or your MS is not in clinical nutrition. Say you have a master's in you have an MFA, Master's in Fine Arts, we'd want you to apply to NYU and go through the process of having a graduate degree in clinical nutrition. And this here down below is for applicants who have a DPD verification statement and a Master's of Clinical Nutrition. So that just shows you the timeline. Okay, so program overview. We're 1,400 hours of supervised practice, but that's over 4 days a week, so 32 hours a week. And usually that's Tuesday through Friday with Mondays off. Approximately 1 lunch hour a week, we either have intern presentations, didactic classes, or guest speakers. We've also had a lot of hands-on competency learning that we've been doing this year. So that tends to happen during lunch hours. I'd say allow for at least 10 hours of personal time to complete projects or rotation assignments, which includes common terms, case studies, calculations, scenarios, things that will really help support your learning during the internship. So interns complete a variety of different projects and assignments that help us meet some of the Ascend competencies. So we have like leadership assignments, we have cooking demonstrations, things along those lines that will help support some of these competencies. For those in the MSDI program, they'll also have 1 to 2 days of post-work classes. So your schedule gets adjusted to make sure that you can fit your coursework in with the schedule that you have at the VA. But you want to allow at least 3 to 5 hours of personal time to complete your NYU coursework, exams or projects or things along those lines. Really excited to share our program rotation overview. We have about 17 rotations. It's really exciting because we have quite a variety of experiences, and it's nice that they're centrally located. We find that it's really important and poises our interns to do really well to have a substantial orientation. Not only are they being oriented to working in the hospital for the first time or to working in a government position. It's really an important aspect. So we have 3 weeks of orientation. You get to meet all your preceptors, previous interns, members of our interdisciplinary team, including speech pathology, psychology. You participate in disruptive behavior training, a lot of hands-on work that you're doing. So it's a great opportunity to get comfortable, but also get to know your peers. Our classes tend to be really intimate and small because we're a small class size, and so you get to kind of build and foster those relationships in orientation. We have 8 weeks of management, which includes culinary nutrition, food service, clinical nutrition, and dietetics education management. We have an even spread between our inpatient and outpatient rotations. So our inpatient includes spinal cord injury and disorders. We're a center of excellence for spinal cord injury, ALS, MS disorders. We have an on-site nursing home, which is our community living center. And we have med-surg and ICU rotations. For our outpatient rotations, we have oncology rotation, whole health, which is an extension of our primary care rotation, weight management, and hemodialysis and renal care. We offer to kind of provide a little bit of diversity to the rotations that we provide. We have 3 affiliate site rotations. They're each 2 weeks long. We have a rotation at Bronx Works, which is one of the largest nonprofits in the Bronx. You'll be working with individuals from infancy all the way to end of life within the community, food pantries, food education, farmers markets, etc. Then we also have a new pediatric private practice rotation, and we have a rotation at Weill Cornell Medical College, which is in the GI clinic. Our program offers interns the opportunity at the end of the program to practice independently while in an on-site rotation during 4 weeks of staff relief. We find this a really integral time for interns to develop their confidence, really feel like they are the clinician. And so we're really excited to get to offer that opportunity. So with our 3 weeks of didactic learning, 44 weeks of rotations, and then 2 weeks of paid vacation, that brings us up to the 49 weeks. Some special learning experiences. While you're on site with us, you'll get to do a DEXA scan. We have a brand new indirect calorimetry machine. We allow you to sit in and participate in modified barium swallows and fees studies with the SLP. We have a cooking demonstration in a green room. You get to work with our Resilience and Wellness Center, which is a program for veterans that kind of takes a more holistic approach to their healthcare, including intuitive eating, yoga, whole health coaching. We have hands-on vital signs training, hands-on blood glucose monitoring training. And just this week, we, for the first time, incorporated nasogastric tube placement. So we actually have, in addition to kind of the equipment noted at the bottom left, we also have a mannequin that we allowed all the interns to drop tubes into. So it was really interesting to get to do that. So why choose the VA? The VA, and particularly the Bronx VA, we really offer individualized attention from our preceptors. It's a rare opportunity to really, you're one-on-one except in your food service rotation for the most part. You're screening patients, you're seeing patients, and debriefing with your preceptor. You have contact throughout the day. You know, most of our preceptors are graduates of our program, so they know the attention and love that goes into precepting, and they really do provide that. We're a structured internship, so you don't need to find your own preceptors or rotations. It really allows you to focus in on your studies and actually learning rather than trying to like coordinate finding a preceptor. I think it's a tremendous benefit to our program. There's no fee for our internship, and I'm so excited to offer this opportunity because in the last year, our stipend went from $16,000 to over $24,000 for the 49 weeks of supervised practice. So you are paid in biweekly checks. It's not a lump amount, and it is subject to taxes. But it's I'm so happy to be able to offer a stipend because so many programs don't do that. And you have the option, if you'd like, for a fee to have healthcare. Those who are commuting via public transit in New York City get public transit benefits and paid vacation. So it's a great opportunity for those doing their MSDI. You, even though it's actually a 40 credit master's, but you get 6 credits back. So you actually end up only having to pay for the 34 credits of the master's coursework. So you kind of add that on to the fact that we're paying a stipend. It's a great bonus. We have an intern office, so you have an on-site workstation. You're kind of your own place to go to every day, and I find that to be a big plus because I remember my own internship. I was trying to find a computer on the wards. So you have your own station, you have your own computer. We even give you a laptop so you can connect to the VA network at home. If you're interested in on-site housing, there's on-site housing on the campus. It's first come, first serve. It's definitely affordable for New York City. We partner with NYU for a master's in clinical nutrition. They're world-renowned institution. So that's really a wonderful opportunity. We don't require, neither us or NYU require a GRE. 100% of our program graduates take and pass the RD exam within 12 months, many well before that. You have the opportunity of working with veterans, which has just been such a rewarding opportunity. I've spent my whole career within the VA. We love to hire people that we have trained. Most of our staff are individuals who've finished our programs or other VA programs in the country. And we really care about your safety. So we do take COVID precautions. Masks are mandated, and so is vaccination. So I do let people know that in advance. So we have phenomenal statistics to report for our 5-year look back. So just to get a sense, we have 100% pass rate, as I mentioned, in 1 year, and we have a 94 first-time pass rate, which nationally is about 70%. So it's really exciting that most of our interns pass on the first shot. Most graduates of our program feel like we adequately prepared them for supervised practice. Their supervisors a year out when they're hired believe that they are trained at entry level or higher. And the graduates in our program are employed within 12 months. Most are employed once, shortly after they start looking. And then, as I mentioned, we love hiring those we've trained. The class of 2021, 3 of 7 have been hired within the VA. A class of 2022, 2 of 7 have been hired. So those are pretty good odds, I'd say. Our selection criteria, being that we are a VA hospital, you must be a US citizen at the time of application to apply to our program. I do ask that you submit proof in DICAS. We have a minimum GPA of 3.0, but most of our applicants may be around a 3.2. We do look for work, extracurricular experiences in dietetics or volunteer experiences. But I do say if you work to support yourself, to support your family, or you just don't have the means to volunteer, that is not a requirement of our program. If you've been working, we want to see what transferable skills you have, your critical thinking skills, and things along those lines. We look for letters of recommendation. Please ask your whoever you're asking to write a recommendation to firstly inquire if they're going to give you a favorable recommendation, but also somebody that knows you, a professor, a DPD director, work supervisor who knows you more than 2 months before they're writing a recommendation. They should really be supporting your case, and that's what makes a difference when we're reading several applications. A personal statement, make it unique. We read many of these. Let us know why you want our program. And then if there's any reason that you might not be hitting some of these criteria, this is a place for you to speak about those things, right? Highlight maybe what would have happened, maybe something happened in the semester. Life happens, and so, we just want to get a sense of, what's going on. So I review every single application that comes through the portal. I have a DI selection committee I work with, and I tend to be generous with interviews. The interviews, I sit on every interview that we offer, along with 2 members of our selection committee. At the end of our interview, we ask for a writing sample. So we'll send you a prompt, and we ask you to send back a written response. So it is a little bit of a rigorous process, but our internship is a little rigorous. So we want to make sure that the applicants that we select are going to succeed in our program, but we provide the support for you to do so. So we do take a really holistic approach. We look at all the components of your application. So we encourage people to apply. All right. And then what makes an applicant stand out? Definitely maturity, the ability to multitask and handles changes in environments. I mean, working in a hospital, things change regularly. Policies may change, conditions may change. And so being able to be adaptable is important. Being passionate and curious, love for nutritional sciences and a love for helping patients is really what we're looking for. And that compassion and sensitivity, definitely making sure that you can meet the patient where they are. We work with a veteran population who often have different challenges. And so we really want to support them in their care. And, it's not a patient with, it's not a diabetic, it's a patient with diabetes, right? We're separating out their condition from their being. We're definitely looking for dedicated, committed students who've shown that they care about nutrition and its practices, individuals who can think critically, who can, our interview is challenging, but we want to see how you think on the spot and what you, and not necessarily some MNT knowledge that we look at, but we're really looking at, are your wheels turning in the right direction? Your grades, obviously your DPD courses are of more significance than how you did in Russian literature. And we care about attention to detail, right? In the application phase and the correspondence phase. So I just wanted to give an overview of our program. Please visit our website. There's a ton of information there. And I just want to, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me via email. If you have any questions about the NYU program, Kelly McLean's email address is there. And I want to thank RD2BE for hosting me today. I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Awesome. Yeah, that was a great presentation, and thank you for that amazing lump of information. And so the first question that I have for you is, out of the 7 applicants that you accept, about how many people apply each spring DICAS application?
Oh, sure. I would say about 20 to 25 applicants apply, up to 30.
And with your M&T concentration, do you prioritize or primarily gear students that are interested in clinical dietetics, or have you had interns after graduating go into different fields of dietetics?
Oh, sure. Definitely. Just because we're an MNT focused program, that doesn't mean that our interns have not kind of branched out and worked in many different areas of dietetics. By the fact that you know the pathophysiology of diseases and the application of it, you understand and can implement time management skills, you really can move on into any area of practice. I feel like we've had recent graduates go on to work in pediatric formula sales, in culinary nutrition, in pediatrics. Like it's knowing clinical practice that makes a really strong clinician. And it doesn't really hold people back into kind of going into, I have somebody that went into research and nutrition, breast cancer research. So it's really that you have the skill set.
Definitely, like knowing that the world's your oyster and not feeling kind of constrained to one path whenever they take your internship, like if they do your internship, like that's a really great thing to keep in mind, and knowing what your interns did after that. And so you mentioned that throughout the program, the interns rotate to 17 different sites. Like that's kind of a lot of flip-flopping between the 49 weeks. And so how do you ensure that interns are prepared for each of those rotations and keeping up with the fast pace?
Oh, sure. Yes. So I mentioned, I spoke in detail about the orientation. First, we have 3 weeks to get you settled in, get a sense of the VA, get a sense of who you're working with. We also offer, each of your preceptors orients you to their own area once you're kind of within their own areas. They may have pre-rotation packets or readings that help you kind of get the baseline of what you need to know so that it's kind of a level playing field coming in. So along the way, and the fact that you have so much contact with your preceptor kind of settles, the fact that there is turnover in terms of you're going through, every couple of weeks you'll be switching a rotation. I think the fact that you're also housed at the Bronx and not trying to learn a new environment kind of, in a way, kind of eases up the fact that there are so many rotations.
Definitely. And then if you were to give any general advice about keeping up with that fast pace, and I think it's great that you prepare the interns with that 3-week orientation and maybe the preparation packets, but if you just had general advice for keeping up with fast pace in any environment.
Oh, sure. Calendars. I keep a written calendar, but I also have an electronic calendar that reminds me that like something is coming up, like a week or 2 weeks, however long I think something's going to take. So I have two modes of, so like nothing falls through the cracks. And I think the interns that are successful in our program do something of that similar state. So they know what coursework is ahead of them. They dedicate certain hours of time for their NYU coursework and then for their VA coursework, but then they also protect some time for themselves. So I think that's really important to kind of regroup, personal regrouping time, and lumping that in. A lot of them, take Friday, when they get off of work, right off until like midday on Saturday to kind of just do whatever they want to do and then pick back up for their week.
Yeah, and I definitely relate to just living off of calendars, because when I say I have a written planner, Google Calendar, and then a to-do list every day, I would I would go insane if I didn't have that, for sure. And so you did talk about a lot of the great like financial benefits that doing this VA dietetic internship is, with a stipend, possible housing at NYU, and then also you kind of get 6 credits back with NYU's master's degree, which is really great. And so for the MSDI track and the tuition, is it flat rate for in-state versus out-of-state students?
Correct. There's no difference between an in-state student or an out-of-state student.
Awesome. And then this kind of just quickly came to my mind, but for the tuition rate, do you know how much it is per semester or per credit hour?
I know per credit, it's just over, and the next year's class has not yet been released, but it's a little over $2,000 per credit.
Awesome. Okay. And then also kind of going back into that graduate, like kind of talking about the graduate degree, you said that students with an MS in clinical nutrition or similar will qualify for the standalone supervised practice track. And so say that you have a student interested and has an MS in clinical nutrition going in, does that change their favorability of being a selected intern?
Not at all. This is, again, our first year doing it. Doing this new setup where we're in essence having 2 tracks, but we have no quota set up. Where our evaluation team will be evaluating across the board, and we just want applicants who are right for our program, and sometimes they may have an MS and sometimes they might not. So yeah, we have no quotas, and maybe it will by natural selection kind of weed itself out.
Yeah, definitely. And so if you said also kind of a little nuance in the by case basis or similar whenever it comes to the MS and clinical nutrition. So do you have any examples of other graduate degrees that, like, and of course you don't have to list them all because I'm sure that it's definitely case by case, but just some examples.
Oh yes. So if say somebody has an MS in nutrition and dietetics, clinical nutrition, human nutrition, I recently had an MS in community nutrition. They had a significant amount of MNT coursework in their community nutrition rotation. That would be acceptable. For individuals who perhaps have perhaps an MPH, I may assess them to maybe need an MNT course or something to kind of add a little background to their programming. But that's kind of how we're assessing the situation, to make sure that everybody has kind of the same baseline knowledge, or they're coming in with the same base knowledge or acquiring that knowledge as they go through their MS. Everybody to succeed together.
Yeah, you don't want to leave anyone behind. And also, from what I'm hearing, the common theme is having a strong MNT background.
Correct.
Getting that type of coursework. Awesome. And so you listed you had that entire slide of the benefits of doing your internship, but if from like the intern's point of view, do you have a common theme or common things that the interns like the most about your program?
Yeah, and I kind of collect this information since we, of course, like hire many of the people that we trained or as opportunities present. And what I hear is that they really value how much time their preceptors spent with them. I'm sure other internship programs can provide that, but our interns meet several times a day with their preceptors, and they're not doing case studies. There's no EHR Go or any of these like programs. They're seeing patients. There are order writing privileges within the VA, and that is tremendous. I don't have to hunt down a doctor to change a diet order because I am the expert. They are coming to me for tube feeding knowledge. They are coming to me for TPN information. I get to write prescriptions for supplements if my patients need oral nutrition supplements. And I feel like that gives clinicians those privileges. It makes you feel like you're a provider and not just under the wing of a physician. So they love the independence that you have at the VA. They love the training that they have at the VA.
Awesome. Yeah. And I actually, because by the time that we have this interview published, we have interviewed some other VA programs in the past, and you can absolutely correct me if I like misuse the wording, but the VA is one of the like largest healthcare like career providers. I have no idea what the correct terminology is, and I'm sure you have it, but it's like you guys employ and have the best like training and stuff for your employees in the healthcare system. And I think that that's definitely been reflected in from the past VA internship programs I've interviewed and your internship program, that you guys definitely make sure your interns have all the clinical knowledge and healthcare knowledge that they need to succeed. And I think that's awesome.
Thank you so much. Yes, and just to add to that, not only do we, train so many different health professions, so you're even coming up with people who are doing their PT or their SLP, and so you're coming up together with other health trainees. So it's really impressive, and the fact that there's over 117 VA hospitals in the country, and then there's like over 1,000 VA clinics. We're one of the largest employers of dietitians, so you can like move around the country, and it's a great opportunity. And I mean, I can boast forever about working at the VA, but yeah, it's been a wonderful opportunity for me.
Yeah, and I think it speaks for itself whenever you said that most of your, if not all of your career has been with the VA. Am I correct on that?
That is correct. Yeah. So after I actually was interested in community nutrition and did my DI through a different program. And then I went to culinary school and then worked at a raw food vegan restaurant for a year after being at the French Culinary Institute, which was pretty butter heavy. So after working in a raw food vegan restaurant, I applied to work at the Manhattan VA as their primary care dietitian. I worked there for about 5 years before transferring to the Bronx VA, particularly because I wanted to work with students. I loved precepting. I wanted to precept, and so that opportunity presented itself at the Bronx VA. And I specialized in diabetes management, and I worked into the dialysis unit as an advanced level practice dietitian after working in primary care for several years. And then this opportunity presented itself to direct the program, and I thought that the fact that I was organized with my data, I did a lot of data research, and I loved caring for patients, and I wanted to be that kind of that guidance that that interns can look forward to having an internship program. So that kind of led me to my position.
Yeah, awesome. And I'm glad that you kind of gave that little context of your like career path and how it really does speak for itself as, and I'm sure for this, the VA takes care of its employees. And given how long you've spent with the VA, I'm sure like if interns are interested into applying to a VA dietetic internship, they'll definitely reap the benefits. And I think that's a great thing that you mentioned, like just with your personal experience with them. And so just kind of to end a note, for the students that are probably watching this or listening to this that are planning on applying to dietetic internships and are kind of, nervous about everything, not really knowing where to start, what advice would you give to students interested in applying to your program or just any other certain supervised practice programs?
Sure. Well, the first thing about my program, firstly, I just want to encourage applicants to apply. I think people get scared, especially by maybe VA programs. They think it's too competitive and then they don't apply, and their odds are, maybe they feel like they're not going to get in. So if you think that you want this program or you want any of the other VA programs, I encourage you to apply. So putting yourself out there is one of the things. That's a piece of, advice I have. Definitely getting to know your preceptors, getting to know your professors, getting involved in nutrition in some regard, really helps build those relationships that not only help you grow towards being a registered dietitian, but also by being involved and the individuals can speak better in your letters of recommendation, which often add a layer of character to your applications. Attend open houses. It's really important when I see an applicant has attended my open house. That means that they care, that they have, if they can't set aside time, I've had people, I really would like to attend an open house, but I work or I don't have that time, but they've connected with me, attend an open house or connect with the individual that oversees the admissions process. I think that's really important. Make yourself known to them. So it's not, I do definitely look at attending open houses, but also just whatever communication and individualized contact you've made with the program. Because it is a commitment. You're spending about a year of your life doing this, and so you want to make sure that you're a good fit. But yeah, ask questions. It's really important so that you definitely make sure you're selecting the right program.
Definitely, and kind of being proactive. So thank you so much, Verzhine, for showcasing your program with the presentation and also being able to answer some of those follow-up questions, because I'm sure all the listeners that are going to be listening or kind of seeing your presentation, they'll definitely learn a lot about your program. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for hosting. Thank you.